Hi everyone, this is the first in a series of Theme 1 recaps. So in this short video, we're going to go through a very light touch summary of everything in 1.1, which is the first unit you study in Theme 1, so meeting customer needs. Obviously, this doesn't cover everything you would need to know for the exams, but hopefully it gives you a pretty good idea of the main kind of key terms, the main kind of concepts, and then you can hopefully from this figure out if there's anything else you need to know and go and research that a little bit further. So this is not completely comprehensive, but hopefully gives you kind of a one-page recap pretty quickly about the main kind of parts on this topic. So we've got three topics in this unit. We've got the market, we've got market research, and we've got market positioning. So let's go through these one by one. I'm not going to put every single definition on here. We'll just talk through some key terms as well. But hopefully, as a bit of a summary, it'll give you a bit of an idea of where to start and a little bit of maybe a recap just before an exam. So in terms of the market, there's a couple of key terms you need to know. Market share, market leader, market growth. So when we think about that market, that collection of businesses that operate within the same industry, when we talk about market share, we're talking about how much of the market as a percentage that one business controls. So for example, if Tesco had 25% of the market share, that means 25% of the sales in that market go to Tesco. That would, in this case, make them the market leader. So the market leader is the business that has the most market share. And then in terms of market growth, that is just a case of whether the market overall is getting bigger or smaller. So obviously understanding kind of percentage change, whether a market is growing or getting smaller. And there's a variety of factors for why that might be the case. Quite often you'll see a lot of technology markets will be getting bigger, but also as technology advances, we'll see other markets potentially that have been taken over by technology getting smaller. So understanding whether markets are getting bigger or smaller is really, really important. We also have the concept of a mass market or a niche market. So a mass market is the largest part of the market where a product is targeting the majority of customers. We've also got a niche market where the smaller part of a market where maybe only one particular segment is being targeted. We'll talk a little bit more about segments in the market research section. In terms of market research, the main thing to know is the difference between primary research and secondary research. So primary research and secondary research. Primary is research that's done for the first time. This is going to include things like questionnaires, surveys, focus groups, where you speak to customers potentially and try and gain information. And that information will be really tailored to your business depending on what you're looking for. Whereas secondary research is research that's already been done for you or already been available and you're potentially reusing. So this would include things like market data online. And obviously this can be much quicker to access. It can be much quicker because it's available already, whereas obviously there's going to be a cost and in terms of time and money in terms of doing focus groups and questionnaires. But the information might not be completely tailored to your business, and also because it's already there, it might be out of date by the time you're reading it. Now what this will do is this will use open and closed questions. So an open question being one where a respondent can put down any answer. It may be just like a text box as an answer, whereas a closed question gives them a select group of options. And these will lead to quantitative and qualitative data. So quantitative data is numeric data that's easy to group together. So this could be, for example, if this is coming from a closed question, you might be able to get percentages. You could say, all right, 70% of the people who responded to our survey were between the ages of 16 and 24, etc. So that information is really easy to group together and identify trends. Qualitative data is non-numeric. So this is going to be things like opinions. These are probably going to come from open questions. And this is really useful for getting more depth in our information, but it's going to be much harder to group those pieces of information together. So this might be like reasons why people have a certain opinion rather than just sort of stating what our preference is. Ideally, you would want to use in your research a combination of the both. We also have, as part of our market research, we're able to start to segment the market. So market segmentation is where we split our groups of consumers up by different criteria. And one of the main ways we do this is through demographics. So this could be things like age, income, gender, ethnicity, religion. And then obviously you can see there that we might have a potential, like a market segment would maybe be a small part of the market there. The other way we do market segmentation is through interests as well. So for example, targeting customers who are interested in a certain thing is a really obvious way of segmenting a market. People who are interested in basketball, for example, people who are interested in dance, there's a variety of different things that could include. We also need to understand the concept of product orientation and market orientation. And so it depends. Sometimes this is taught in kind of the market, sometimes it's taught in market research. But the idea behind this is that product orientation is where you design a product and then find a market for it. So this would be the case if you have a really good idea. You might create that product and then assume that you're going to be able to find a market. And sometimes this is the case because sometimes when a business makes a product, we don't actually realize we need something until we see that it's available, and then suddenly maybe it changes that we need it. Whereas the alternative option, maybe potentially the easier or safer option, is to create a product based on the needs of the market. So you're basing your product design around what the market wants. And the idea behind this is that if the market have said that they want something, then in theory there's a guaranteed audience there. Now, when we've kind of created our products, we've done our market research, then we can think about how we are positioned within the market. And the first step to this is to look at market mapping. So market mapping is done on an axis like this, where you would look at a series of variables, and the idea is any product in a market should be able to fit into this grid somewhere. So the most commonly you would see something like, here I've got high price, low price, high quality, low quality. Pretty much any product could fit into that, into one of those brackets. So a product is either going to be high price or low price or somewhere in between if it's kind of a middle price. Every product should fit on that line though, and that will tell you how high up or low down, in this case, that product would go. And then we've also got low quality and high quality. And so we should be able to determine, you might have some products that are low quality and low price. You might have some products that are high quality and high price. And the idea behind this is it'll help you identify where your competitors are within a market, but it will also help you identify gaps in a market. Now, that would be an area where maybe another business hasn't quite done that yet, and you might be able to get an advantage. However, it's worth paying attention to the fact that actually some of these areas are going to have gaps because maybe it's not a very good business idea to do this. So for example, we take this gap here, high price, low quality. Well, that makes sense. Who's going to want to pay high prices for low quality products? On the other hand, we might have high quality and low price, and this might just be because in order to create a high quality good, it's going to cost a lot for a business in terms of material costs, in terms of production costs. So they may not be able to sell it at a low price because it's high quality. So sometimes these gaps are there for a reason. Sometimes it's not actually good business sense to be in there. But generally speaking, we can get a bit of an idea about where maybe there are gaps that we potentially could exploit in a market, especially when a market is new and there aren't many competitors. Quite easy to try and identify places we could get a first mover advantage by moving first into that market. We also have to consider Porter's theory of competitive advantage when we're thinking about positioning as well. And so this links back to a topic that is studied in Theme 3. So we'll do that in the 3.1 video that will eventually come, if it's not up by the time you're watching this already. We've got our low-cost producer businesses. We've got our high product differentiation businesses. And then in the middle of the market, we've got the mid-market. So the idea here is that the low-cost producers, they keep their costs low so that they can keep their prices low, with the intention of there's always going to be consumers who want to pay low prices. Maybe that's because they have low income. Maybe it's just because they don't put a value on paying high price, or they don't really desire high quality in that area, so they would prefer to pay the lowest possible price. So there will always be sales. The Porter's theory was that there'd always be sales at the bottom of a market. In terms of high differentiation, the idea here is that there's a high price, and this is due to the differentiating factor. So a unique selling point, that might be really high quality. And when it says high price, one thing that's worth bearing in mind, like Coca-Cola, for example, a can of Coca-Cola isn't super expensive, but it is more expensive than like an own brand cola. And so it is a high price relative to other products in that market. And it's because it has a differentiated factor. And that differentiation is the unique taste, the brand, all of those things. The mid-market, Porter's theory was that if you're in mid-market, you've not got the best strategy here. So not the highest quality or the lowest price. And the idea with this is the low-cost producers, it's unlikely they're going to take customers away from high differentiation firms, unless the high differentiation customers potentially like lose their jobs or something like that, or there's like an external shock, like an economy issue. The high differentiation businesses, they're not likely to take customers from low-cost producers that much either, unless the low-cost producers win the Euro Millions or something like that and suddenly have more money to spend. However, if you're a mid-market business, you potentially could lose customers to both sides. So mid-market customers who, if we take supermarkets as an example, the low cost would be Aldi and Lidl, the high differentiation would be Waitrose, Marks and Spencer's, and then the mid-market would be the likes of Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's, etc. If a Tesco customer wants to get better value for money, they're going to go to the low-cost producers. If they want slightly better quality, they're going to go to Waitrose. But it's unlikely that an Aldi customer would suddenly start going to Waitrose unless their circumstances changed. And it's also unlikely that a Waitrose customer is going to suddenly start shopping at Aldi unless, again, their circumstances change. So being in the middle there was a comparison to standing in the middle of the road. You're at risk because you could get hit by both sides of traffic. So that one we'll come back to in theme 3, but it's worth introducing here when we think about where we position within a market, because you could put pretty much any business on one of these 3 strategies. Are they low cost producers? Are they high differentiation? Or are they mid-market? And then there's a few other key terms as well to pay attention to. So competitive advantage, what is it that a business has that gives them potentially that unique selling point? And this could be a brand, it could be a product quality, it could be a unique feature, it could be a production method, it could be something along the lines of that would give them their advantage against other competitors. And then we've also got added value as well. So how businesses justify charging the prices that they charge. So for example, you take a t-shirt, you put a Nike logo on it, suddenly the brand has given added value. You take a sandwich, like from a meal deal at Tesco, the added value is that they've made the sandwich for you, they've put it into a nice pack for you, they've made it really, really easy. The added value there is the convenience. Yes, you could go and buy all the ingredients separately, but are you going to turn up to school or work with like a loaf of bread and a whole lettuce and a whole tomato and a knife? I mean, bringing a knife to school, not a good idea in general, but that convenience is the added value. That's why we'll pay more for the sandwich to have it fully made for us. So that covers 1.1. Hopefully that was nice and quick and easy. There's a link to a Theme 1 Quizlet that I'll put in the description. I'll put a link to a few of the little things as well, especially for example, for Theme 1, a Paper 1 video. And obviously, if you've got any questions about this, please do let me know. But hopefully, if these content pieces make sense, my next big bit of advice to anyone would be to go and practice some exam questions on these topics. So I'll see you next time.